Hello, my name is Kip Love and welcome to my second video project. I'm going to be starting off again with proper attire. As you can see, I put on my track shirt from high school, some Nike shorts, some about mid-high socks, and some Nike shoes. Everything I'm wearing is comfortable for me. Um, it's dry fit, so even if I sweat, it dries up pretty quickly. It's all breathable fabric. And of course, you don't want to be wearing anything that's too heavy, especially for the type of exercises we're going to be doing today. Um, of course, you don't want to be wearing sweats. You don't want to be wearing a hoodie. You want to make sure you don't have anything dangling. I tucked my chain inside my shirt for this video. And as you see right here, I brought not one but two waters because, like I said, with the type of exercises we're going to be doing in this video, definitely going to need the water. And I also would like to add that make sure you get a little bit nutrition before you go. For me, I wanted to get banana. As stated in the textbook, the warm-up should be broken down, or it's advised to be broken down, into three different components. This first component right here that I'm doing is the general warm-up. The general warm-up's purpose is to increase your heart rate, blood flow, deep muscle temperature, respiration rate, and perspiration, and decrease the viscosity of joint fluids. For my choice of the general warm-up aerobic activity, I chose to walk on the treadmill. Well, I started off with a fast walk. For the settings, I did 2.5 for the first minute, and after the first minute, I increased to 3, and I steadily increased by 1, so 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and so on for 6 minutes. In the last minute, I had worked all the way up to a jogging pace, so to make sure that I was really warmed up. And at the end, you will see that I showed my target heart rate and I achieved what the goal was to achieve, and I hit the target time. Actually, I ended it in 1 second early now that I think about it, but so I did 5 minutes and 59 seconds, and you will see that at the end of this clip. Alrighty, as you can see, I'm slowing down here, finishing up the aerobic portion, and I'm going to be showing the time that elapsed as I was on the treadmill and the heart rate that I achieved. After this, going into the next clip, I was going to be beginning with some upper body dynamic stretches. Dynamic stretches can be good because it further warms up your body. It can help improve your sport performance, prevent injuries. Dynamic stretching activates your muscle system, muscular system, and your nervous system, and improves your joint movement before you get into whatever exercises that you will be doing. And of course, it'll also improve your flexibility. As you see right here, I'm doing some neck rotations. For me personally, when I do my dynamic stretches, I like to start from the top of my body and slowly work my way down. So right here, I'm doing some arm swings, going forward 10 times and then backward 10 times, loosening up the chest, and also my shoulders. Once I finish up with that here, begin doing some back rotations that stretches primarily the lower back and mid back. I also do these, I do most of my stretches at least 10 times. Going into the next stretch here, I like to call these swimmers. It further opens up your chest and your deltoid, your shoulder muscles. Again, we're doing these 10 times. Next, I'm getting to some wrist rotations. Go 10 times. 10 times one way, and then I reverse it the other way for 10 times. Next, we're going to be getting into the lower body dynamic stretches. Starting off with some leg swings. I like to do these 10 times with each leg. What this does, it opens up your hips as well as your hamstrings. You get a good stretch on your hamstrings as well. A tip for doing these, make sure you want to swing your legs pretty high to make sure you truly activate your hips. Now I'm doing it laterally. It works the same muscles and joints with your hips. For me, I'm not as flexible, so I can't kick as high as I would like to. But, everyone varies with their flexibility. For right here, I was trying to find a spot to set up, and I did. So I'm just repeating the same movement with the opposite leg. You want to make sure that you're doing the same amount on each side so you equally warm up both sides of your body. Here I'm warming up my hips some more with some rotations here. I like to go 10 times forward and then I reverse it for 10 times backwards with each leg. Well, I like to do, these are actually really good to do when I was in track. Doing for hurdles because you're repeating this, you're kind of mimicking the movement of going over the hurdle, at least for the forward portion. So these are also good for track athletes. And it's a general warm up, as mentioned before. So these can be used for any activity, lower body activity or plyometric activity that you're going to get into. There's nothing really specific yet, which I will get into. And also, the better name for this a dynamic stretch would be the gate opener and closer. The opener, the opener being when you're going reverse, and the closer when you're rotating your leg forward. Now we're gonna get into the specific warm up. The purpose of the specific warm up is to further warm up, of course, and it incorporates movements that we will be doing later in the following exercises. So here I start off with a skip, and then after that I like to go down and back with it, so I do the skip twice. The purpose of doing this skip is because we're going to be doing a lot of explosive movements that require you to hop off of one foot. So doing this skip just gets you and making sure that you get your knees up. It's going to get us ready for that. And this right here is the B skip. Not only is it another form of skipping and getting ready for the following exercises, but it further opens up your hips as you go across with the movement. Just like I did with the A skip, I go down and back with the movement. See, I messed up there. I like to start with my left leg when I'm doing it. Once you get the rhythm, though, it becomes pretty easy to do. But I would say it's a more intermediate or advanced movement. Getting into the next one here, we're going to be doing a power skip. And as you see, I'm focusing on getting my knees up, exploding out of the skip. This is the last movement, which is a single arm bound. They're beneficial for improving coordination, rhythm, and explosive speed. Now we're going to be getting into the first exercise modality, which includes the kettlebell exercises. Getting into the first exercise here is a push press. And for this, I'm going to have both hands on the kettlebell. As you see, I'm not going into a full squat, but I am allowing some knee bend so I can explosively push up the kettlebell above my head. The push press is going to be a full body workout, so it's going to work your quadriceps, your glutes, your back, your shoulders, and your triceps. Right here, I'm getting into the second variation. This is with a jump. As you see, once again, I'm not squatting fully, but I am allowing some knee flexion, so I could build up the sufficient amount of motor units to make the jump possible with explosiveness. Right here will be a last variation, and this will be the single arm variation, which will also be the hardest since you're only holding the kettlebell with one arm. Right here, or any variation, all three of these variations is also good if you're planning on doing a clean and jerk. The right here, uh, I'm not going into the jerk movement, of course, with the split stance, but it is the push press. A push press is involved in the clean and jerk. And of course, I'm doing the same amount of reps on each side so we don't create any muscle imbalances. Same weight, same amount of reps on each side, which is 10 reps. Now we're gonna get into the lower body exercise with the kettlebell. The first variation is will be the exercise as an ankle hop. The first variation is just a double leg, just the traditional ankle hop. The ankle hops are good for improving stability and power, and it trains your muscles in your calves as well as it strengthens your ankles. Right here, this is the second variation. I'm going side to side, hopping from one leg to the other. It requires a little bit more foot speed, I would say, since you're hopping from one leg to the other. So it is a good drill in training that. And now we're about to hop into the last variation, which is the single leg ankle hop, which the name is exactly what it implies. You hop on one leg and stay on that one leg. I do it for 10 reps and then I switch from the next leg. Now we're going to get into the second exercise modality, which is the plyo box exercises. First, we're going to start off with some upper body ones, and it's going to be some tricep dips. And these are not like your regular tricep dips to where you're just going up and down, but as you can see, I'm exploding up, even having my hands come off the plyo box a little bit. And I'm also doing this single leg, which makes it a little bit harder. Right here is the second variation, and like I as mentioned before, it trains the triceps and also a little bit of the chest. Right here is a slow eccentric, and I explode up. The eccentric is the muscle lengthening phase, and the concentric is when I explode up, and the tricep muscle contracts. I try and go down slow, at least for 3 seconds on the way down before exploding up. What this does, it builds more tension in the triceps. Right here, I had to take a little break because these plyometric exercises are no joke. Getting into the last variation here, this is going to be pause tricep dips. So at the bottom of the movement, at right before the concentric phase, you pause for at least 3 seconds before exploding up. And almost like the last variation, it just builds up the tension within the triceps. This one even more because you're holding it at the very bottom of the eccentric movement where your muscle is stretched the most before contracting up. And right here, we're finna finish it up. And head to the lower body portion of the box plyometric exercise, which is the depth jump. This right here, I'm jumping off the box and immediately going into a standing long jump. Depth jumps are good to develop your lower body muscles, increase power / explosive strength. And the good thing about depth jumps are that you could do them pretty much anywhere. You could do them at home. You don't even necessarily need a box. You just need a sturdy surface to do them on, really. But that's why I like doing them as well. But right here, as you see, I'm just jumping off the box and immediately going into a standing long jump. I repeat this 10 times, and I also do that for the other two variations as well. Depth jumps are commonly used when well, at least for me, when I was running track, they're used a lot. Also, they're good in basketball, of course. You're gonna need jumping power for that. I feel like it could also translate into volleyball as well. It could translate into any explosive sport, really. And also, when doing depth jumps, you should make sure that you're doing them on, or really with any 5 measures, but especially this one, that you're doing it on a soft surface, because you don't wanna add too much shock to your knees, and then have knee pain afterwards. Moving on to the second variation here, I'm doing the depth jump into a 180-degree turn. This variation, of course, is a little more challenging, but you want to make sure when you hop down, you jump into a 180-degree turn before jumping back onto the box, and not jumping down and doing a 180 turn back onto the box. That's how you can hurt yourself. And so you see, as I do it, I jump down, do a 180 turns, get some control, and come back onto the box. This also this also further shocks the muscle, helping you build more agility when it comes to making quick turns and with your movement. Box jumps are also good, of course, for increasing your vertical jump height. Moving on to the last variation here, and it's a jump depth landing. So as you can see, I'm going to land with 1 foot here. This variation is probably, I would say, puts the most stress on your knee. So you want to make sure that you're landing properly and you're not landing straight legged. That's the main thing that can hurt your knee if you're landing straight legged. So you want to make sure when you land, you have a little bend in your knee. As you can see, that's what I'm doing there. And it is like the other two variations, but this is the highest impact and force that comes on your body. And in doing this, the benefit of doing this unilateral or single leg is that it will further boost the bone mass or strengthen your bones when making high impact or doing high impact activities. In most cases, the higher the box, the more the more strength you're gonna need to do any of the box jumps, and increases the difficulty. But for this one, I would say that you don't go too high, because not all the time maximal height with a box is going to be a benefit, because it could cause too much tension within your legs and you could possibly get injured from jumping from too high. So I would recommend the box be at least 6 to 8 inches. And also, I would say um, plyometric or this depth jump, I wouldn't do it too many times in a week. I wouldn't recommend doing it more than 2 times. in a week because it'll also end up causing too much stress on your muscles doing these explosive movements. And head into the next exercise modality, which is the medicine ball exercises. Right here for the first variation, I'm going to get into a two-hand overhand throw. Um, Plyometric medicine ball throws in general are just good for developing power in the upper body, specifically in your shoulders, core, and triceps. For these, I'm doing a set of 10 for each variation of the exercise. Some sports and implications where this may be useful. Main one I would say is basketball. It's common that you're throwing a two-hand overhand pass if you're doing it from distance. And this right here is the second variation that I'm getting into. And it's the two-hand side to side. I'm still throwing it with two hands, but I'm leaning it over my right and my left shoulder. The goal here was still to get 10. I ended up getting 5 on each side, which equaled up to 10. I would say all three of these variations applies to basketball due to the fact that there's just so many different ways that you could throw the ball with a pass. You could even say with this variation that it could somewhat mimic a quarterback. Um, but the next variation, actually, what I'm going to get into, it can mimic a quarterback uh, football throw. I believe that throwing a medicine ball like this is also a good functional training method because it mimics not even outside of sports. It mimics a lot of actions that you would be doing if you're maybe a warehouse worker or FedEx, Amazon. If you work with packages, you might see yourself repeating not the throwing movement per se, but just the overhead movements as such. And this is the final variation, which is a single arm medicine ball throw. As I mentioned in the last clip, that I do believe that this has a good sports implication for, of course, basketball. Not only basketball, but football with a quarterback throw. That's the same kind of position that they throwing it in from that pocket, and as well as a baseball pitcher, um, that also can apply and improve the strength and power when it comes to pitching the baseball. And for this, I do the same amount of reps with each hand, five throws per hand, which equals up to 10. An important thing that I also have to mention is that you want to make sure that you're tightening your core as you're making the throw, engaging your core muscles, and that will also make the throw more efficient. As this clip begins to wrap up soon, I'm gonna let it play out, and we're gonna get into the lower body medicine ball plyometric exercises. Okay, now we're gonna head into the next plyometric exercise with the medicine ball, and that's gonna be jumping lunges. As you see, you want to get a good start right here and go down into your normal lunge. But the difference is that when you come up, when you do the concentric phase of the lunge, you want to make sure you're exploding off the ground and your feet are coming off the ground. And as you're in the air, you switch legs and come down into the lunge position again. Here I'm going into the next variation, which is a plyometric lunge with a knee drive. Right here is good if you're really trying to focus on training your vertical and explosive power with one leg. As you can see, the movement here kind of mimics a basketball player if he's trying to go for a layup or go for a dunk, so that it can apply and translate over into basketball well. For this last variation here, we're doing the explosive lunge with a twist. So this kind of works into the back as well, gets a back stretch on that. But as you can see, I'm still jumping through the air, and the movement, of course, isn't stationary. And here I'm going down and back with it. Like I said, some benefits of it. It can, like every power metric, it will increase your vertical power. It will increase your speed, explosive strength, and bone density. Moving on to the next exercise modality, the agility ladder. First, we're going to be starting with more upper body focused plyometrics. And here I'm going to, as you can see, I slowed it down. So you can see I'm doing two hands in each of the rungs. A good way to do this is to go down and back on all of these exercises at least twice if you're going to be training them by itself. Here's the second variation. I do one hand in each rung, mimicking a bear. They mimic a bear crawl. And here I'm doing it laterally, and I have two hands in each of the rungs for this variation. Moving on to the lower body portion, I'm doing 2 feet in each rung, basically sprinting all the way down. Now this is when I begin to do it down and back. Of course, doing these increases the speed on whichever half of your body that you're working. The upper body will increase hand slash arm movement speed, while this increases foot slash leg speed. This is good for many players users, football players, track runners. It really applies in any sport that you need speed in, and that's most of them, except for curling. And as you can see, it's easy to mess up here. I try to make sure that the the ladder is as straight as possible. Even then, mine isn't perfect, but usually it can be done on the football field, and they have stakes to hold it down so the ladder doesn't move. Right here's the second variation. I do 5 hops, and I take off into a sprint with 1 foot in each box. Of course, if I had more room, I would do it a little bit longer, but having that sprint right there, change of pace, will also helps increase not only, of course, your speed, but your agility when it comes to making quick movements, going from hopping into sprinting. And right here, I'm about to go into it twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I take off. Moving on into the last variation. This is called the Icky Shuffle. Um, it's called that due to the fact that it looks similar to this touchdown celebration that a football player, Icky, used to do. And it's by far the hardest variation, but once she can get it down, it's fun. It's just another way to challenge your feet, helping with your coordination, agility, speed. Start with both feet out, and then I go in, and one foot comes out on the opposing side each time. So it's kind of like a 2 in, 1 out. Now, as we finish up here, we're going to move into the next exercise modality, which is a weight vest. For these exercises, I had 15. I had 15 pounds in the weight vest. And for this upper body exercise, it will be some explosive push-ups. And I start a wide grip here, and I'm going down into a neutral grip. As I explode up, I switch grips each time. I would say that before doing this weighted, you definitely want to get this down without the weight so you don't hurt yourself messing up. Here's the second variation, and I'm going from a neutral grip or closer grip to the wide grip. This variation is definitely more challenging in my opinion. Since you start from a lower point and you have to really explode up to get to the wide grip, which is a little higher. Now here I'm moving into the last variation, and this at the top of the movement, you want to make sure that both arms are coming off the ground. Sorry, both hands are coming off of the grip. So as you can see, when I come up, I'm removing both of my hands. And this is also, I believe, the most challenging one because you have to remove your hands from the bar. And now I'm going to get into the lower body exercise, which is a jump and reach. Jump and reach is good for training your vertical, of course, explosive power, agility, quickness. When it comes to making quick jumping movements, this exercise would be phenomenal to translate to volleyball because the front and defenses are usually in that position a lot. Right here, this is the second variation. I'm doing a jump and reach, but as I jump, I'm going over it laterally. So this would be a lateral jump and reach. And here, we're about to get into the next and final variation of the jump and reach. And this will be the single leg jump and reach. Any single leg exercise or unilateral exercise, of course, is going to challenge you a little bit more. Or for some people who's actually better jumping off of one leg than they are with 2 feet, this can be a good exercise for them. You just want to make sure, of course, that you're training both sides equally. So if you do 10 reps one side, you want to make sure that you're going to do it with the other side as well. And that's what I make sure I do here. Finishing up with that, we're going to move into the last exercise modality, which is the dumbbell exercise. This is going to be the upper body focus. Right here is going to be a plyometric push-up, and the first variation is with a neutral grip width. So as you see, it's a normal push-up, but as I come up off the ground, I explode up and having my hands come off the ground with the dumbbell weighing me down. With the second variation here, is going to be a close grip plyometric push-up, and this is going to emphasize the triceps a little more. You're still going to have some involvement from your chest, but this is mainly targets the triceps. And it's the same movement. I just made the dumbbells vertically. And here, we're going to move into the third variation. And this is going to be the wide grip. This one is also a little bit more challenging, I believe, because how wide your hands are. And it's going to focus more so on the chest muscles, the pectoris major and minor. So you see, I'm keeping the same form here. Just making sure you explode at the top. Your hands are coming off the ground. Here I'm going to be moving into the lower body plyometric exercise with the dumbbell. And it's going to be squats, jump squats. Right here I'm going into the first variation. And that's going to be a sumo variation. Sumo variation, you're going to have a little bit of a wider stance. As you're coming down into the squat, as you come out of the squat, you're going to explode up and jump. It's different from a jump in the reach or like an ankle hop because you're actually going into a full squat and you're not just barely bending your knees. So you want to make sure that you're going into a full squat to make sure you're not doing another exercise like an ankle hop or a jump in the reach. Right here's the second variation that I'm doing. And it's a squat jump with a 180-degree turn. Want to make sure that you're coming down controlled. And you go down into the squat. For the third variation here, and also of course the hardest variation, is going to be a single leg jump squat. Right here, as you see, I'm going down into the eccentric phase. And I explode up with a knee drive. Doing this, make sure that I'm getting into going back like that is making sure that I'm getting into a squat position. And of course, like with any unilateral exercise or single leg, you want to make sure that you're doing the same amount of reps, same amount of weight on each side to prevent muscle balances from occurring. This is, and also like a single leg and any other single leg plyometric, this further puts stress on your muscles and strengthens your muscles if you're a 1 foot jumper. If you prefer to jump 1 foot with 1 foot in basketball or volleyball, whatever the case may be, this is good for training that. Now we're going to head into the final segment, which is the cool down segment. Of course, we know cool down is very important for cooling down your muscles, lowering your heart rate, and just lowering down the temperature of your body. You don't want to skip a cool down because it'll be good for
returning your blood flow back to the way it was pre-exercise, and it also helps with reducing the buildup of lactic acid, and it helps prevent your injuries like muscle tears, and it just restores your body, relaxes you, relieves some stress, being able to just cool down at a slow pace. I know the video is sped up here, but I was actually moving at a pretty slow pace. And for my choice of aerobic activity for a cool down, I chose the Stairmaster. The Stairmaster has many benefits. You could use it to warm up as well too, or for actual like a high intensity workout. It works up to a pretty fast speed, but it's good for aerobic conditioning, of course, calorie burning. It actually has some strength benefits as well. It's going to lead you to having healthier bones. It's going to strengthen the muscles in your legs, such as the quads, the hamstrings, and the calves, and the glutes. It's also versatile. Like I said, it's a versatile workout or exercise equipment because you could go at different speeds and you could go backwards laterally. You could do a lot with the Stairmaster. So that's why I chose that. But as this clip plays out, I'm just going to leave you with some music and then we'll get to the final portions of this video. Here we're going to head into the last part, which is more stretching and just muscle recovery. Starting off with some upper body static stretches. The benefits of doing some static stretching is it will improve your flexibility and range of motion. It will decrease the risk of you getting injuries. It will increase blood flow. It will improve how long it takes you to recover. And then improve your coordination, balance, and postural awareness. So right here, I'm stretching out my shoulders and my triceps. I'm holding for at least 10 seconds with all of these static stretching movements. Right here, I'm stretching out my neck. And I hold that for 10 seconds before moving on and stretching on the other side of my neck. And right here, I'm getting into a lower body, no, sorry, not lower, but a lower back exercise, static stretching exercise. And right here, it's stretching out kind of the mid to lower back. And make sure that you're crossing your opposite arm onto the opposite leg to further deepen the stretch that you're getting in your back and your lat muscles. And right here, I'm doing some toe touches. It's going to be stretching your hamstrings. If you're real flexible, it also stretch your back as well. Right here, I'm just doing the same thing, but I'm leaning towards one side. As you can see, my flexibility is not the greatest. I've never really been that flexible, even when I was stretching every day. Because with track, when I ran track, we always used to stretch. It would just be a part of our routine. I just never was really that flexible. Be even more so now. Right here, I'm just going down the middle, reaching down the middle. Also going to open up your hips and stretch your back as well as your hamstrings, your hips. Right here, I'm moving into the butterfly movement. This is gonna stretch your hips and in the groin area. Open it up. I'm pushing down on my knees with both of my arms, further deepening the stretch. And this is why they call it the butterfly, because you get a little movement right there. Now moving into you're in a lunge position here, extend the lunge position here, and you're stretching out your hamstrings more. Right here, I'm just moving and doing the other side. This also will stretch your glutes as well. Finally, with the last two exercises, I'm stretching my quads here with a foot grab. I repeat that for the opposite leg. Now I'm doing some knee hugs, which will be the last thing that I do, and it stretches your hamstrings. Now, this for this last part, I really wanted to add this in here because I do think it's beneficial. It's something that I used to do a lot during track, and that is foam rolling. Foam rolling is very beneficial, in my opinion, to do after a workout. because it further increases your range of motion because it reduces, the adhesion to your muscle and it reduces the stiffness of your muscles after working out and it relaxes your muscles. Foam rolling also can increase your circulation. It reduces your muscle soreness, which is the main reason that I love to do this. Right here, I'm stretching out or rolling my hamstrings. I repeat for each leg, of course. And also, as I mentioned, it can help with stiff muscles, so it will reduce any pain for people who have the real stiff muscles. And studies have also shown that it helps you relax. It has good psychological benefits. People have reported feeling more relaxed after foam rolling. As I finish up here soon, I want to be heading into the next foam rolling exercise. This is going to focus on rolling out the quads. You can't see it from this angle, but I'm making sure that I'm not rolling out both the quads at the same time. I'm actually elevating one of my legs a little bit, just using it to propel me forwards and backwards. I'm rolling out one quad at a time, and this will be you'll see it better once I move to the other leg. As you can see right here, as I move to the other leg, that I do indeed have one leg elevated, and I'm just propelling myself with the other leg forwards and backwards. It's a little hard to maintain stability on it, so you just want to make sure you're working back and making sure that you're getting the efficient roll. So I do adjust it a couple of times just because it may come off track a little bit. Right here, I'm going to get into foam rolling my lower back. So what you want to do, you want to position yourself on top of the roller. Start by rolling. Start at the mid back and roll down to your lower back. I was also still kind of sweaty, so it was hard for me to stay on the foam roller at first. Once I got a hang of it, it was a lot easier to do. You see, I'm just rolling out the back, and I'm using my feet to propel me forwards and backwards as I complete the motion. And right here, I'm going to be foam rolling not only the anterior delt, but I hit the bicep a little bit, but the main muscle that we're foam rolling here is the chest, specifically the pectoralis major and minor. And I actually when I was in track, there it was I didn't really stretch or foam roll my upper body, but I do see the benefits in doing so. I was enjoying it right now as I was doing this. So just make sure that you're getting foam rolling or foam rolling your whole body if you decide to do so. Just right here, I'm making sure I'm getting the other side as well. Now here I'm moving on to the final foam rolling activity, and right here I did I already had the lower back and kind of mid back. Right here is going to be more so for the upper back traps and a little bit of the neck as well. I had to get used to doing it at first because my hair was getting in the way a little bit. But right there is going to, as you can see, it's going to stretch or foam roll the upper back. It could hit the rear delts as well. Like I said, the traps in your neck. As I wrap up here, I'd just like to thank you for sitting through the video and learning more about plyometric exercises. And I hope that you learned something new here that you can implement in your plyometric training and making you better in your sports performance. This is K-Love signing out, and I hope that y'all learned something new today, because I definitely did. Catch y'all the next time. Peace.